Now that we have the lookup button coded, let's work on this display button. And what we're going to do is when we click on display, based off of the customer number, we're going to go over to the purchases table. So let's take a look at our database, and I'm going to retrieve the ID number, the item number, and the quantity. I don't need the customer number because I already have that. Then we will perform an inner join with the inventory table. Now an inner join selects the rows from both tables when there is a match between the columns of those tables. So when I have a match with the column for SF22, I'm going to go to the inventory, find SF22, and return the item name. This just reduces a lot of data redundancy by having the separate tables. Okay, so let's see how all of that is going to work. Right, we'll just double click on our display button right there, and we'll say something like displays the purchases. We'll come in and say dimension DT as new data table. There we go. A little with me statement, and then for the SQL statement, we'll say str data source equals double quotes select. Now I need, since I'm using two different tables, I need to specify which table I'm getting the data from. I could type in, let's say for the item number, I could type in TBL purchases dot IDNO, comma, and then do the same thing for the item number. But that's a whole bunch of typing over and over and over again. What I want to do is use an alias for TBL purchases. So instead of typing that in, I'll just backspace this out, and I'm going to just give an alias single name of P for my purchases table dot ID no. Now I have to define or reference that alias in just a moment, as you will see. So I need the ID number, the item number, also from the purchases table, so P dot item no, comma. From the inventory table, I want the item name, so I'll reference that with an alias of I dot item name. Okay, and these have to be these have to be the field names. Okay, and then we need the quantity from the purchases table, so P dot QTY from, I'll put a, let's see, then a space bar, and then I'm going to say TBL purchases, the name of the table, purchases. Now I can define it just spacebar P, or I can say TBL purchases as P. Either way, some SQL languages, when you use them, require the as, some do not. In Visual Basic, we can use either or. We can put the as in there, or we can leave it out. It really doesn't matter. It'll work either way. And then we'll just come in here. Oops. I'm going to go to the next line because that's kind of getting along there. I'll do a space bar. And after the double quote, space bar, ampersand, space bar, enter. And then double quotes again, I'll say inner join TBL inventory as I. Okay, and again, I could leave it if I wanted. Spacebar, double quote, spacebar, ampersand, spacebar, and then double quotes. I'm going to say on P dot item, whoops, P dot item no being like spacebar I dot item no spacebar, double quote, spacebar, ampersand, spacebar, double quote, and then I will say where P dot customer number is like spacebar, single quote, and I might need to, I think I defined it earlier up above, so I think I'll be all right by using the variable here. We'll find out. Double quote, spacebar, ampersand, whatever is in str cusno, right there, spacebar, ampersand, spacebar, double quote, single quote, spacebar, order by P dot item number ascending, and the ascending by default is going to go to that anyway, but it's always kind of fun just to put it in the way it is. Okay, now we'll just press enter a couple of times, and I'll say dimension data adapter equals a new OLEDB dot OLEDB data adapter parentheses str data source comma CONN str close parentheses. Very, very good. dt.reset, open close parentheses, just to kind of get everything on my data table reset for me and put it back to square one, so to speak. Then I'll say data adapter dot fill parentheses dt for the data table, data adapter dot dispose, open closed parentheses. Now, what if it goes through all of this and the person didn't make any purchases? Okay, so we'll just come in here and we'll say if dt dot dot rows, my typing today, dot count equals 0, that means no rows, then dot lbl message dot text equals double quotes no purchases made by this customer, period. Let's put their name in here, okay? Spacebar, double quote, spacebar, ampersand. Let's say by customer, spacebar, double quote, spacebar, ampersand, spacebar, str name. There we go. And then dot lbl message dot visible equals true. Okay, else. Now, if it doesn't equal 1, then they did make some purchases. So we'll say here dot dgv data grid view purchases dot data source equals dt dot dgv purchases dot visible equals true dot lbl message dot visible equals false. There we go. And then after the end if statement, we'll put our cursor back up on txt cusno.txt.cusno.focus. Open close parentheses. Very, very good. Okay, let's give this one a quick try. And just reviewing my code very quickly, I noticed that no, I don't want to try to multiply up there. Let's change that to an ampersand instead of a multiplication of a shift 8. All right, everything should work now. We'll just click on start and we'll go in before we find one that did make purchases. Let's do 101.111. Do a lookup and it says broccoli display no purchases made by customer broccoli. Very, very good. Okay, put my cursor back up there. Let's try 101.112. Look up. Very good. Winnebago made a number of purchases on more than one occasion, it does look like, but some different items there. So that's how we can do an inner join to find out. And remember, this is the ID number, the item number, and the quantity from the purchases, and this is from our inventory table on the item number. All right, very, very good. In the next video, we'll just finish up by coding the reset button. As always, though, thank you for watching.